ICES data provides a great opportunity to do world-class cardiovascular outcomes research. We're really privileged to have access to all the wonderful databases at ICES that allows us to do many innovative and interesting research studies.
ICES data is so simple to use.
ICES data are secure.
ICES data combined with EMR data has provided an unprecedented opportunity for primary care research.
ICES data are amazing and lots of fun to work with.
ICES data are unique.
ICES data are the envy of the world, just like so many other things in Ontario.
I think the first big data challenge we had at the beginning was when we brought in the HMRI data, which is essentially what we call the Karey data. The information was recorded sequentially, so if you were reading the tapes, if the 8th tape had a glitch in it, you'd have to send them all back and start all over again.
What do those tapes look like?
When we got the first OHIP data, it came on 10-inch magnetic tape reels, and we got 12 reels for 1 month of OHIP data. Now I can put 3 months of OHIP data on a little card.
When we would first get those tapes, there was no documentation that came with it. If we were lucky, we got a record layout with variable names on it, but that was about it. And so a lot of the early work was just in figuring out what the variables meant. The first thing was actually figuring out with the hospital data itself how to link individuals over time across records of rehospitalizations and so on. So it wasn't until a few years later that we got into trying to link from hospital to other data sets.
Y2K, we underestimated the implications for computers, we underestimated the implications for IT personnel, and we underestimated the implications for programmers, and we really had to come up to speed. We got down to one IT person, and that one IT person was Jackson Wong, who proved to be extraordinarily exceptional in that he understood computers at every possible level. I'm not sure how long it took for us as individuals to really comprehend what were in the data and what was going to be possible to do with them.
I'm here with Tammy Axel in New York, and we're right by Wall Street. When we first started, we were all down in the data center, sort of back to back, working, basically working very independently. Somewhere in the mid-90s, Winnipeg came up with the concept of an intranet, and it kind of blew our minds. And so we went to Winnipeg to see what it was all about. At the end of the day, we really needed our tables defined and each of the variables defined and each of those values defined. And we knew that all along, just how we were going to do it, whether we're just going to put out paper or just in a Word document or whatever. And when we saw the intranet concept, then it all fell into place.
And today, you can walk into ICES and fire up the intranet and find out exactly what any particular variable means.
To begin with, we had to get permission to access data for each and every project by project. And that lasted until we worked out the formal research agreement with the ministry in 96, 97.
We've been so lucky with HIPAA because ICES was named as one of 4 very special prescribed entities that had really a tremendous amount of latitude in what they could do with the data as long as they followed the requirements of the Act and its regulation. The agreements help to lay out very concretely the respect that we are willing to show the data and the lengths that we are willing to go to protect it.
When HIPAA came around in 2004, it changed the landscape in many ways, just on how data was being collected on the laptop computers and all the IT security that went with that.
There is still a bit of a mystique as to how we do this stuff. And I think, Karey, you found, as I did, that working through how we were going to do all this stuff together and teaching them how it worked at ISIS was actually one of the more interesting parts of the process.
Data explosion, all the other Karey data, home care, etc., probably came about, I think, around 2000.
Emerald started about 5 or 6 years ago with a resource of electronic medical record data collected in primary care physician offices. When the opportunity came along to bring EMR data into ISIS from primary care physicians, we jumped at it. Now we're at 192 doctors and over 300,000 patients. To get the full picture of patients, you need a combination of both the primary care EMR data combined with the administrative data.
And OCA stands for offline chart abstraction, and ISIS has had some variation of this concept before, but basically what it means is that you're able to take a laptop into a medical records department and work not online, it's not on the internet, work away at abstracting information, and then when you're finished, the chart abstractor can take it to their home or back to ISIS, and the information's transmitted securely. We're now realizing that the oversight of independently built applications probably didn't have quite the rigor that we do now.
ISIS was beginning to get large data files and knew that they would get large ministry data files from the Ministry of Health. And to make these available for research, they would have to be de-identified. So Don de Boer and I worked out some mathematical system to create a new number, which we simply called the ISIS key number. And once you have that number, and it's still in use at ISIS, you can assemble the medical history or the medical events for any person who's covered under the Ontario health system.
Probabilistic matching is a method for bringing records together belonging to the same person. From 2005 to about 2008, we averaged about, I'd say, 5 research linkage requests a year. In the last 4 years, I would say we have averaged about 15. The complexity has also increased, and we've had to hire special consultants to look at gray area, whereby these are record pairs where the information is uncertain and needs to be looked at one pair at a time. It has really been a challenge to work with these really large data sets which require a lot of manual intensive labor.
A lot of other health services researchers anxious to have access to our data. So the ISIS expansion, first at Queen's, then Ottawa, now at U of T, and shortly to Western, we looked at ways of securely giving these sites access to our Unix system. And now we've certainly have expanded our reach across the province. So
when I started, there was just a few users accessing the Unix system. Now we have more than 100 users, and at that time, ISIS Central was the only site that people can actually access the data. Now we have the ISIS Extension Network, which comprised of 4 more cities that people can access remotely.
It's not as if we have all the data. We have a lot of data, but there are still a large number of health events that simply or beyond the data sets.
And I think this takes us into looking to the future as well, Karey, because I think looking to the future, the exciting element is being able to get into population health data sets. And you know, in the last few years with the mental health strategy evaluation, we've been able to start to look at schools and social services and a number of other areas. For us, the exciting piece is going to be actually continuing to work on a full perspective using the determinants of health and being able to link across a broad range of services with healthcare utilization and health outcomes.
In the next few months, we will bring in new system which will help us to speed up the processing time, also be more powerful, and will bring in more capacity to host more data.
Just as we found solutions and ways to make ISIS work as a Section 45 entity, gives us a great starting point for finding the solutions which will allow us to progress and to take on more and more data partnerships, and it will be the foundation for some really exciting and new scientific opportunities here at ISIS.
I think ISIS is going to turn into a new type of institute which uses linked health data of many types, combined with social services, education, a range of other data types, to do research of broad societal significance. Some of it health, some of it medical, some of it policy, but all of it important to planning of the future of services that are provided in Ontario across a broad range of topic areas.
ISIS data are unique.
ISIS data are provocative.
ISIS data are dreamy.
ISIS data is the greatest reached data for Ontario health system.
ISIS data keep me off the streets at night.
ISIS data is complex.
ISIS data are our people, unparalleled.
ISIS data is huge.
ISIS data keeps me sane, but occasionally makes me crazy.
ISIS data are so cool. ISIS data are so fun to work with.
I'm one of those persons who actually likes doing record linkage. And yes, it has been interesting, actually. I've learned a lot.
ISIS data makes me happy.
ISIS data are a key resource for doing health services research.
ISIS data taste really good. Here's some.